Building deep engagement and ultimately trust in a new brand or any brand is crucial to success. This is not something that you leave to chance. You need to differentiate your brand and stand for something. And when it comes to communication, as with everything you do in your business, you should always communicate on purpose. I'm Andrew, and I'm responsible for communications at Polestar. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, but I've found a passion for all things comms, and I love bringing complex products and technologies to life. Polestar is an electric car startup founded in 2017 by Volvo Cars and Geely. We're headquartered in Gothenburg, Sweden, and while our cars are manufactured in China, the company has a direct-to-customer online sales model, and we augment our online presence with Polestar Spaces, which are our take on automotive retail. In 2019, we opened our first manufacturing facility and launched our first car, the Polestar 1, globally. And in 2020, we launched Polestar 2, our first all-electric fastback. By the end of the year, customers had cars on the roads across China, Europe, and North America. This year, we've already expanded into a further 3 European countries. We're now up to over 45 spaces globally, but that will have doubled before the end of the year. I hope I've left you with the impression that this is a new brand that is moving extremely fast. Now today, I'm going to talk to you about why embarking upon our first annual review at this early stage was a crucial foundation in ensuring we deliver on our purpose and share our journey. And I'm going to share some of that experience too. So I mentioned what I and the company are, but it's always been the why and the how that's interested me. We're determined to improve the society we live in, and we're going to do that by accelerating the shift to truly sustainable mobility. For me, the why and the how combine to underline Polestar's purpose, and this is central to everything that we do. Polestar's not an aged brand, it doesn't have years of heritage to muddy the waters. We're a clean sheet of paper built from the ground up around a clear purpose. But then we also live in automotive, and a recent study showed that less than 25% of people trust the automotive industry to do the right thing. So this is an industry that can have a profound effect on climate change, but even if we are working hard to improve, we're going to have to work as hard to ensure that anybody believes us. So that perhaps informs the final piece of the how. I believe that if you want to really drive change, then you have to be a leader. So it perhaps isn't surprising that we've also set ourselves the goal of becoming a guiding star for both our group of car companies, but also the industry at large. I did say at the beginning that we were ambitious. Now, brand for me is not what you say, but what you do. And for us, that means transparency, because if you want to make sustainability a goal in an industry as complex as automotive, you have to design towards it, you have to innovate towards it, and you have to make it a core strategic goal. You have to talk about it transparently to build the trust we lack in the industry. So surely that's the very definition of an annual review, a regular, rich and content-driven document that will enable us to hold ourselves to the ideals that we've set ourselves. Now, we've identified design, innovation and sustainability as the core themes of all of our storytelling, and we aim to be progressive as a brand in each of these areas to build those great stories. I believe it's the stories that have the greatest success and impact in engaging customers and wider stakeholders. Our annual review had to be the embodiment of those ideas. So let's talk through some of the challenges and some of the opportunities we encountered in the creation of our first annual review. Now, I should be honest at this stage, I've historically worked in brands that have had a regulatory requirement to share an annual report with investors and other stakeholders, and they've also had a long history of these sorts of reports, so a really solid base from which to build. We aren't under those regulatory requirements, but we have a great story to tell and increasingly a wide audience to engage. So on top of that, with extremely clear sustainability aspirations, it felt like an annual review was fitting for Polestar. We want to talk openly about our progress, and we want to build credibility. So the slightly more formal annual review approach offered a great juxtaposition to the non-traditional communications methods that we often employ. We took the purposeful step to adopt the conventional to describe the unconventional. In fact, that was one of our challenges, was building the backing of the business really sharing and selling the value of this approach. Now there's really three key takeaways, and I've shared those as looks, cooks and hooks. So looks. We are an unashamedly digital brand, so of course our annual review was always going to be, well, unashamedly digital. We're also a very design-led brand, so how the document looked and felt was a huge topic of conversation. Ultimately, with a new brand, it's even more important to retain consistency in this aspect. That meant, for us, a clean and minimalist design, but it was one that ultimately enabled rather than hampered creativity. So if you've got a style, embrace it in your annual report. This isn't a document that should sit to the side of the brand. It should be entirely on purpose. I'm also a huge believer in an editorial style, and that suited the document well. And of course, the business is much bigger than just the comms director, but ultimately I think we succeeded by building consensus from stakeholders across the organisation. We got buy-in early in terms specifically to the looks and feel of the report, and then we didn't keep going back too often for micro changes. Which leads me to my second thought, cooks. I think identifying those experts and protagonists in the stories we wanted to tell early was crucial. And actually the approach that was proposed of targeted interviews, allowing us to build a structure really quickly and identifying unifying themes for the report, really helped. But it was about that time that it became clear that you could have way too many cooks in a process like this, each driving a different writing style and a different tone. And it was the unification of that that was ultimately imperative, to get the information and then limit the amount of writing input. You know, if we really need support, and if you really need support embarking on this process, I would suggest that some great proofreading at the end to ensure that nothing comes out half-baked is what's important. And then lastly, hooks. Well, when it came to publishing the report, we wanted to make a real splash. We had to find some news on which to drive engagement. Now, of course, we lent into the main focus of the report, which was sustainability. And we took on our moonshot goal of creating a truly carbon neutral car by 2030. Now again, by building an integrated approach here, we were able to drive really strong engagement on the topic and great media coverage and drive awareness and interest in the review as a whole. And this is what I'm proud to say the team created, a great collaboration that helps drive progress for our brand and I think the industry. We clearly share our vision and our brand journey so far. Now, this is a reference about us, for us, but it isn't self-congratulatory. It truly reflects who we are and what we stand for. I think it clearly is on purpose. As a new brand, I can't ask you to believe in Polestar on blind faith, and I'm not going to. We've set out a clear vision and made a purpose we believe is extremely important our own. Now it's up to us to deliver on our promises, to live up to our values, crucially to bring you on the journey, to communicate the successes and the failures, and to be transparent. This annual report is a crucial element. It provides an anchor with consumers and wider stakeholders, driving engagement and understanding. The annual review is already a cornerstone of our organisation, something we're proud of. It, like everything else we do, is clearly on purpose.